Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to this webinar about how to use sustainability strategy to create business value. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Karin Ekberg, and I will be your moderator today. Before we make the introductions, we will have a brief look at how to use the GoToWebinar features. You are all on mute today in order to ensure audio quality. However, we encourage you to send us your questions throughout this webinar. If you wish to do so, then please use the chat function. The presentation will be available for download after the webinar, and it will also be possible to watch the recording. Our speakers today are Matthias Malessa and myself, Karin Ekberg. And I'm really happy to have Matthias Malessa here today. Welcome, Matthias.
Thank you very much, Karin. Thanks for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I can do this. Well, my corporate career was with adidas. I joined in '87 as a trainee program, as a trainee, and after leadership positions in the finance sector, back then in Hong Kong, in operations in Thailand and Vietnam, I returned to Germany to kind of reinvent adidas' people strategy. Well, I was joined by human resources then. Then in 2006, we actually purchased Reebok at the time. I was promoted to become Chief HR Officer of the Adidas Group. And looking back, I must say I really enjoyed the time in Adidas and the opportunity we had to build, next to a strong business model and a sound product brand, also a very robust employer brand, with really a strong bench for internal talent and excellent access to the external talent market. Also, it was very fulfilling to support the creation of our environmental strategy. Also here we managed, in particular through your and your team's effort, to become and remain an industry leader in sustainability. Well, then in 2014, I followed, so to speak, a young man's dream. And under the headline, Spice Up Your Life, I left the corporate world and started my own business. Today, I focus on helping people and teams to learn and grow and to lead, so to speak, more responsible and impactful lives. Karin, thanks again for having me today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Matthias. Now to our agenda for today. We will first go through the process of strategy development, from exploring the need for a strategy over how to develop one and then how to implement it. Then we will discuss together with Matthias Malessa what the key factors are when engaging with top management and creating buy-in and how to engage employees. We will also discuss what the key success factors are. After that, you will have the opportunity to discuss with us. So please send your questions throughout this webinar. Finally, we will give you a brief overview of leadership and sustainability and a few of our services that are related to sustainability strategy. Let's talk about the planning for the strategy development. Here is an overview of the entire process to develop and implement a sustainability strategy. It's a very simple flow, but still important to keep in mind. We will now talk about these phases, one by one. Over to the first phase, exploring the need for a strategy. How do you know if you need a sustainability strategy? Well, I guess that most of you who are on this call would say that most companies need a strategy, need a long-term plan in order to actually create results. We have consulted a study made by McKinsey, and here we show what CEOs and other respondents think about the importance of sustainability. As you can see, the importance is increasing year by year among CEOs and all other respondents. However, we can also see the slight discrepancy in how CEOs rate how important they find sustainability and what the respondents around them think. Are CEOs letting their employees and their other stakeholders know how important they think sustainability is? It doesn't look like that, does it? In a study made by Ethical Corporation, 69% of corporate respondents said that their CEO was convinced of the value of sustainability. According to executives, sustainability is becoming a more strategic and integral part of their businesses. In past surveys, when asked about their company's reasons for pursuing sustainability, respondents most often cited cost-cutting or reputation management. Now 43%, and the largest share, say their companies seek to align sustainability with their overall business goals, mission or values, up from 30% who said so in 2012. So how do you create buy-in with your senior management? Well, I would say that this is one of the most difficult questions to answer, and I will actually ask Matthias that question a bit later today. There are many ways, and I think it depends on where you are in the journey, but it all points to the need for a robust business case for your sustainability strategy. We will discuss the business case at depth later today. And you may also wish to explore with your management the degree of integration between the business strategy and the sustainability strategy, as we could see the alignment is getting an increased attention from CEOs. However, there is also one other important aspect related to the question about how to create buy-in, and that is that you actually need to learn to speak your CEO's language in order to find the right arguments and to convince him or her. In the early days of sustainability, I believe many sustainability managers made the mistake to wish to evangelize their CEOs to take action. They wished that their CEOs would see the same urgency as they themselves did. But CEOs have many other important responsibilities and may have other priorities and urgencies. So you need to find the right approach to engage with them or any other executive you work with. Nelson Mandela once said it this way: if you talk to a human in a language that he understands, it goes to his head. If you talk to a human in his own language, it goes to his heart. So the challenge of the sustainability professional is to learn to speak the language of the CEO. Don't expect it to be the other way around. Before you can develop the best sustainability strategy for your company, you do need to know your current situation. You need to know your sustainability impacts, risks, opportunities, costs, and potential benefits. You need to understand which sustainability aspects that are actually material to your company. Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, has published its G4 reporting guidelines, and GRI recommends working through the following: issue identification, prioritization, and validation. And now for you to make the first list of issues or aspects, you can use the GRI G4 reporting indicators or another standard approach. But important is that GRI today requires a systematic materiality assessment, and we will discuss how to conduct such an assessment. GRI exemplifies the need to look outside your own operations, to look for your responsibilities, with this illustration, showing that, for example, corruption may be quite relevant for your business partners and others along the value chain too. And we think this is an important point. However, how do you best include considerations for business partners and their partners? Although the illustration here is quite easy to understand, we would offer another approach to give a great structure to the materiality assessment. We would recommend a structure like this. It may look a bit complex, but it's actually nothing else than mapping your own value chain. The value chain will look different for different companies. Here we have made an exemplified value chain, to some extent mirrored also into the internal functions of a corporation. At the top of this slide, we have the overarching management processes. Below, we have the actual business processes, where the products and services are actually created, distributed, and sold. Then we have the support functions, for example, human resources and communication. Once you have your value chain mapped, you will know where sustainability is happening i.e. where you may have impacts, risks, and opportunities. Now let's look at the next step. The next question is which sustainability aspects you wish to or should use for your assessment. There are, of course, many different lists you can use, and perhaps you choose a combination of the ones you see here. If you haven't done it before, now is the time to evaluate your business strategy and the impact it has on the different aspects. On the left-hand side, you see a few standards and initiatives that you may draw from. You may also look to the topics that are trending in your industry, or ask your stakeholders, or perhaps they have already told you. Perhaps your stakeholders are already shouting topics to you. On the right-hand side, you see a few examples of specific sustainability aspects. On this slide, we have an example of the fact that there may be significant regional differences related to which sustainability challenges that are important for CEOs in different regions. For example, in 2013, peace and security was very important in Asia and in the Middle East, but not in any other region. Now we have looked at the value chain and the sustainability aspects, and it's time to fold everything together. We do that with the help of a comprehensive assessment matrix. On the top of this slide, we see again our business processes, now simplified a bit in order to have them included from the beginning to the end. On the left hand, we have our sustainability aspects at a higher level. Now you can assess all the sustainability aspects that you identified. Assess them for status, what's in place, what's not in place, impact, and legal, financial, and operational risks and opportunities. You may even wish to add external costs by applying a natural capital accounting approach or add an environmental management accounting approach. There are many ways you can do the assessment. For example, you can do it at a higher level brainstorming or workshop session or series of sessions. You can also develop a questionnaire and conduct interviews with stakeholders. You may wish to include footprinting with quantitative measures or even product life cycle assessments. The results can be inserted into a matrix like this and then valued on a scale that you have predefined. The depth and length of the assessment can range from high level to very detailed, or from a few working days to several months of work. It's important to define this before starting. The goal should be to understand your material sustainability aspects, as well as your gaps. Once you have done all the work and inserted your results into your matrix, then you need to bring this into an understanding of your aspects. This should help you create a prioritization. If you have set up a strong valuation scheme and have worked diligently, then you should now be able to see the patterns. Can you see your patterns? Is it possible for you to prioritize your sustainability aspects? Can you see where in your value chain they are most important? Do you have segments of the value chain that are more relevant than others? You should now be able to evaluate the results at a detailed level, but you should also be able to bring them up to a more aggregated level. These are your material aspects, and now you know where in your value chain they are most relevant. In addition, you should now have an understanding of where you have basic compliance risks that need to be addressed immediately and on an ongoing basis. When you in the next phase begin working on developing your sustainability strategy, make sure that you bring all those material sustainability aspects in. This will make it easier to build your strategy to fulfill the needs you identified. Even more, build a strategy that goes beyond just filling these gaps. Build it to create great results. The identified material aspects are the ones you should focus on if you wish to improve your actual sustainability impact. You may be tempted to work on other aspects while working on this new strategy. And you can do this, but you may need to clarify your reasons for doing so. Don't blind yourself and believe that you can avoid working on your material sustainability aspects. In the long run, it's the only thing that counts. Focus on where you can make the greatest impact and can create the best business value. So, we are now ready to begin developing the sustainability strategy. Now lift your head from the details and think about the strategic picture. In the same McKinsey study, there were questions designed to differentiate what great sustainability leaders do and others don't. These results you can see on this slide here, they speak for themselves. For example, nearly 5 times as many in the group of sustainability leaders set aggressive external targets or goals than the other respondents. The steps to develop a strategy are actually quite straightforward. It's important at the outset to define the team, hopefully with representatives from all business functions that have relevant impacts. You define a plan, process, and timelines. Another aspect that is important to consider is what your general ambition level should be or is. Take some time to find out where your company wants to be and what your CEO wants. The ambition level may, of course, also be an outcome of the process of strategy development, but you need somewhere to start. Then you can craft a vision and a mission, and you will continue to seek to align and embed with the business strategy. The goal iteration process is shown in the illustration to the left here. You begin by defining a few tentative goals. You check that they are aligned with each other. You draft programs that would help reach those tentative goals. You look at impacts and costs, the business case. Then you test the strategy as a whole and the total business case, and you adjust as necessary, perhaps even taking several rounds in this circle. Once you have a good strategy proposal, you will re-engage with your management and create buy-in, ultimately leading to an approval of your strategy. At that point in time, you can then finalize the strategy. Now we will discuss the business case a bit more. In the UN Global Compact Accenture study, actually only 38% of the CEOs report that they are able to accurately quantify their business value of sustainability. And remember, this is a result from CEOs of the major Global Compact members. It's clear that there is a lot of work to be done related to defining the business case. In the illustration here, you can see a structure for the business case that we have selected. We differentiate for compliance and risk minimization, integrated operations and cost savings, as well as brand enhancement and innovation and market development. On this slide here, we have listed a few examples of the quantified value of the business case. For example, in the Volkswagen case, Volkswagen actually lost 23% of their market capitalization. Many billions of worth of money were destroyed. On the other hand, and we believe there is a significant potential in this area, we have innovation and market development. A few companies are beginning to explore this potential, and we hope that many more companies will do so in the future. Now you have your strategy, and now you need to make sure it gets implemented as well. So get started and plan for the implementation. One commonly used implementation approach for business strategies is the McKinsey 7S model that you can see here to the left. All these elements need to fit the new strategy, i.e. your old structure and systems will not do. If you continue to use them, then your sustainability strategy will fail. You need a strong leadership approach to do this. Do you have your top management supporting you in showing leadership now? Are you yourself aware of the leadership qualities you need in order to succeed with your strategy implementation? Let's look at some of these elements at more depth. Building on the strategic goals and resources you have defined in the previous phase, you can now build your sustainability organization. You can use the same approach we used with the value chain. Identify your key players in your organization, if you haven't already, and we hope you have, and build out your organizational chart. Do you have a strategy team, sub-teams for different areas? You also need a steering committee with representatives from the business functions. Elaborate on your governance approach and potentially your management system approach. Identify the means to embed your strategy into your business functions and business processes. Help your business partners, who are perhaps not sustainability experts, but experts in their respective business area, to build the bridge or build the bridge to them. Get to know how they work and where the levers are for their respective sustainability goals, and help them define their programs and procedures, tools, and data management. Continuing with building the systems, you help your business partners define projects with metrics and KPIs. You define software and tools for data gathering and follow-up, and you evaluate the usefulness of monetary approaches. You work with your management to define the shared values and the management style needed to succeed. Important to remember is that implementing a strategy actually is a change management process. So build your change management plan. Values, culture, and employee engagement are key for a successful strategy implementation. Employee engagement is actually a really great way to drive sustainability within any organization, and there are many other benefits as well. Another perspective to employers is that potentially new positions and/or new skills need to be developed in order to implement the strategy successfully. Now we have come to our final phase of performance assessment and reporting. On a regular basis, the strategy implementation needs to be followed up. Ask yourselves, are we on track to reach our goals? If not, what do we need to do in order to get back on track again? Are there any other improvements we need to install? How do you wish to report on your strategy successes? Hopefully, you have already communicated internally, potentially externally as well. Are you collaborating within your industry? What can you contribute to that collaboration? Can you join forces to reach some of your goals? A final thought related to what I would call an emerging strategy. Once you get started with your strategy implementation, you will learn more about what works and what doesn't work. Perhaps people change jobs and cannot fulfill their projects the way that it was anticipated. Perhaps you have delays in projects. Perhaps some projects need to be redefined. You may also have triggered so much enthusiasm internally and externally that suddenly new projects are being created without you actually planning for it. People raise themselves and begin supporting your strategy with new and innovative projects. Be open for that. Encourage people to add projects, as long as they are plus minus contributing to the same direction as your strategy. Don't worry if they are not exactly the way you would have done it. That's the fun with a successful strategy. You create more momentum than you anticipated, and what is created is bigger. And here and now, we have come to the end of the more formal presentation. Let's hear from Matthias Malessa about his experience with successful strategies. Matthias,
Yes.
I have a few questions for you
Yes.
prepared. What do today's top managers need to know in order to buy into a sustainability strategy?
Well, Karin, before I come to that question, let me say this. It was very interesting for me to listen to that presentation of yours again, which reminded me of the implementation of the strategy within Adidas. And the good thing is that when you show those slides and you talk about it, you speak with the authority of somebody who did it and was successful in it. So it was very nice to see that again, and I can only applaud you to this.
Thank you.
But coming back to your question, what do top managers need to know? I think they need to know and understand that it is a strategy setting you up for long-term success. It must be embedded in your business strategy, and it's not a separate thing. It's on the long run, more expensive not to do it. And it needs to be owned and driven by you, the top manager. Otherwise, it definitely won't fly.
Thank you, Matthias. And how can the sustainability director convince top management to develop and implement a sustainability strategy?
Well, I would say if a company hires a sustainability director, I would hope it made that decision already. However, the proof, as we say, is in the pudding. The sustainability director must proactively facilitate the discussion and formulation of a corporate vision on sustainability strategy with top management. From that outcome of that discussion, the strategy must then be drafted.
Great. In your view, what does the sustainability team need to deliver to top management in regards to the business case? Which business cases do really convince top management?
Well, Karin, let's face it, top management looks into value creation in forms of operating profits. They need cash to invest, to finance expansion, to innovate, and of course to satisfy investors' needs. So I would always focus on the low-hanging fruit, the easy-to-explain stuff that translate into good stories and creates positive bottom-line results.
All right, that sounds really challenging. As a sustainability specialist, it's sometimes really challenging to talk to top management. Do you have some guidance for the people in the audience who need to create buy-in with the top management?
Yes, well, if you come with your green shirt and you preach with your pointing finger, then I would say you will not last very long. Also remember, top managers want to shine. They want a story that they can tell and they want to look good. So use this energy, help them to deliver that story to a broader stakeholder audience. The better you connect process improvements along the value chain with sustainability gains, the more business will respect you.
Okay. We were talking about the value chain approach. And Matthias, I wonder, what is your experience when it comes to applying a cross-functional approach?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. When I talked to somebody earlier today, what I'm doing this afternoon, and I talked about this WebEx, then the woman asked me, well, is this the sustainability strategy for a specific business segment? And I said, no way. There is no other way than a cross-functional approach. You're either all in or nothing. Being all in means that you look at each piece of your business. When you do your integrated business strategy and budget cycle, you look into business opportunities, cost, risk, and sustainability along business segments.
Wow. And what are the benefits of using such an approach, do you think?
I would say over time, sustainability gets, by using this approach, really embedded into the routine planning, budgeting, and reporting process along your whole value chain. And it will not become an isolated thing that, if times get rough, usually gets canned. Also, all areas and all people of the business get really involved and engaged.
But Matthias, tell me, are there no disadvantages with a cross-functional approach?
Well, I would say there are challenges that come with it. It takes a strong stand from top management. It takes more time for buy-in, more time for engaging people from all segments, and a rigid controlling and reporting support through clearly defined KPIs.
Thank you, Matthias. Let's talk a bit about employee engagement. Why do you think employee engagement is so important when it comes to delivering sustainability strategies and reach goals?
Well, what we know today is that employee engagement is a key success factor to business success. We also know that sustainability and environmental responsibility is more important to people today than it ever was. People are simply proud to work for a company that cares. So, the more you breed ambassadors and create broad buy-in and visibility on sustainability, the more you actually drive overall employee engagement and though business results. So it's a fairly straightforward reaction chain.
When we developed and implemented the environmental strategy 2015 at adidas, you supported the work at many levels. Please tell us a bit about the difficulties we encountered in regards to employee engagement.
Well, when we did our first steps, we did it through what I called a soft model, which means we did not give the sustainability director, which means you, a team and the teeth to drive strategy and projects, if you remember. Instead, you had to sell and engage. You really became a very good salesperson. But that requires a lot of stamina, resilience and patience from the sustainability director and her small team. But over time, it pays back. If you do it this way, you invite people from each function into the team to represent their function in the sustainability network. By this, you create broad attention and buy-in. The challenge, of course, is that it's an add-on to people's day-to-day business and might at times fall victim to other burning work priorities.
And what about the successes? What were the successes related to employee engagement?
As I said, people are proud to work for a company that cares. So if you involve people in grassroots efforts and events, you create a platform for them to blog, present, and to do great things, and you recognize and acknowledge them. And that's what we did through numerous projects and events. And it paid off throughout the whole stakeholder community. adidas was and is industry leader in its sustainability track record for more than a decade. And we have highly engaged employees.
In summary, what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to sustainability strategy implementation, Matthias?
Well, I would say first, drive the front end of the process. What does the company want to stand for when it comes to sustainability? What is its mission statement and what does that say on sustainability? Second, engage employees, find ambassadors and connect closely to business. Don't just preach the green gospel. Third, be prepared for not winning fast. Create small wins along the way. Don't start with a big bang and then what? Have a long-term vision and roll-out plan for yourself and never give in. Finally, I would say create alliances throughout your industry and beyond, and set up a simple but clear KPI system, and let each function report on it, and talk business.
Super summary, Matthias. Finally, Matthias, I have a bit of a different but also not question to you. You participated in the 2041 expedition to Antarctic and will do so again in this year. This is really amazing. Please tell us a bit more about the expedition and what excites you about it.
Well, thanks for asking. Yes, indeed, I'm already very excited. I go back in about 2 weeks to Antarctica. It's actually a 2-week expedition really into the heart of Antarctica, organized by the 2041 Foundation. And under the banner Leadership on the Edge, our purpose really is to bring future opinion leaders and influencers into the Antarctic. We use this breathtaking and stunning place that exemplifies like no other the global warming effects. Icebergs breaking off the main shelf and floating around. We combine this dramatic setting and breathtaking environment with learnings about renewable energy, carbon footprint reduction, leadership training and coaching. We want to encourage people to lead more responsible and impactful lives, to become ambassadors of a better world wherever they live. And as Rob Swan, the founder of 2041, says, the biggest problem of our planet is that we think that somebody else will save it. Thanks, Karin.
Thank you so much, Matthias, for joining us here today. And now we will give you in the audience the chance to ask us questions. We have received a few questions, but please feel free, continue to send us your questions, and you are most welcome to do that. And I will begin with the first question here. We have a question like this. My experience with firms that have little or no sustainability initiatives is that it is often easier to look at the low-hanging fruit and engage those responsible in these areas and create a comprehensive short to mid-term action plan. The results along the process should be communicated throughout the organization. What is your experience in this approach? And I can begin responding, and I think this is really a great question and remark, and I think it actually goes hand in hand. I think you should do both. You have your strategy, but of course, elements of your strategy should be to take the low-hanging fruits as well. And we know, for example, that in many corporations, energy conservation is still a low-hanging fruit. You can save energy, you reduce your emissions of greenhouse gases, but you can actually also save bottom line, i.e. save money. So yes, absolutely. And this is something that should be an ongoing question throughout an entire strategy, in my view. Thank you. I think it's really important to always keep looking at what are the low-hanging fruits. Where can I really have a significant impact, and where can I support the business in doing better? Matthias.
Well, I can only support what you were saying. I would maybe put it this way, that I say it's like with every strategy, with HR, with IT, with whatever it is, you need to keep your audience connected with your strategy and what you're doing. And you only can do this if you always come up with a story that people understand. And normally it's the easy to tell stories, about printing, about green car policy, about whatever, consolidating your materials that are simple to understand. People get it. And by talking about those stories and implementing them, you keep them engaged, and you can shoot for your long-term strategy, which you should never lose out of sight.
Another question, and I would ask you this question, Matthias. What is the most distinguishing characteristic of sustainability strategy development and implementation comparing with other business strategies?
That's a good question. Well, I would most probably say that
sustainability strategy is something that really is truly cross-functional. And it's not like you could say, I have a sales strategy, I have an operation strategy, I have a sourcing strategy, and what have you. But then sustainability goes really horizontal through it all. So the really distinguishing factor is that it is not a single strategy, as I said earlier, but it has to be pieced in. It's something liquid that has to float around all the other elements. And that makes it a little bit different. And that is also the particular challenge of the persons and the team that is driving it, that they have to be all over the place and great communicators to really infiltrate, so to speak, all the business segments.
Yes, and I agree. I think it is really a big challenge. There are few business areas in a company that actually have the task to oversee the entire company or all business processes. And that is also why I think it's so important to learn to speak the business language, to try to understand, try to put yourself in the shoes of the sales manager, of the marketing manager, and try to see from their perspective what do they need, and also to build that bridge. Especially at the beginning when you develop and implement a sustainability strategy in a cross-functional way, you will not have sustainability experts in each and every business function. You have, like, let's say, general managers there, and that's the reason why you need to learn to build that bridge to them and understand what they are doing, and then make sure that you can embed sustainability into their processes. Let's see if we have more questions. Yes. Yeah. We have a question here. You mentioned aggressive external internal strategy. How to balance between a proactive and a reactive approach?
Well, of course, I'm not absolutely sure if I understand it completely right. But I always used to say, go with the energy. I think if you want to drive sustainability strategy and you create your own topics and goals and you want to force them on the business segments, you will fail. But what you will see is you discuss the whole environmental sustainability story, and then all of a sudden you find energy in some teams that might not be exactly on the ultimate goals that you want to achieve, but you should go with that energy and go with that flow in order to create the wins. And by this, you can actually do a proactive approach that uses the energy that you find, and sooner or later you will penetrate all segments of the business.
Yeah. We have one more question here. Would love to learn more personal experiences from you regarding securing management buy-in. And I could give one example, and that is related to energy savings. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I think that most companies have a significant potential when it comes to energy savings in their own operations, even in companies that have, perhaps as adidas has, outsourced most of their manufacturing. There was still a really significant potential in terms of energy savings, and we drove that program internally within adidas. And after doing so for several years and being able to show which benefits, financial benefits we had as well, I think that one crucial event was when we actually connected it directly to the accounting, and we built a green energy fund to support energy savings throughout the company. But we linked, what we did was we really linked the energy, environmental savings, the energy savings, also to the cost savings, and we could prove the case that way. So that's just one example. All right, so thank you so much for all these great questions. And now we will continue. And now I will give you an insight into how leadership and sustainability operates, and I will make you a few proposals. Leadership and sustainability was founded by myself, and we now have 2 additional team members. We work as well with partners, with other consultancies in Europe, Asia, and Americas, covering all the areas you can see here. We have a partnership agreement with a software consultancy and can offer software solutions for both corporate and product reporting beyond the consulting services that we can provide. And now, related to sustainability strategies, we have 3 proposals to you. We can offer a rapid materiality assessment over your entire value chain or over your supply chain specifically. We have a predefined process and deliverables and a fixed price for this. So if you are interested, please contact us. We can also offer a project where we guide you through the strategy development for your company. We define the project and process together, and we ensure that you remain the owner of the strategy. We further offer empowerment trainings. We can offer you standardized training sessions, or we define them together with you to fit your needs. We offer many other services and solutions, so if you wish to know more, please contact us or have a look at our website. And now remains only to say thank you to all of you in the audience. Thank you for joining us today. And Matthias, a big thank you for being here. And finally, I would also like to thank Vedra Korobar, who has been an incredible support in preparing for this webinar. Thank you all, and goodbye.
Yeah, all the best of success to all of you.